Welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Unlearn the Crap TV is more than just a show. It's a movement towards breaking free from the disempowering structures designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. It's about education, healing, and unlearning the detrimental beliefs that have been ingrained in society for generations. So now, please welcome the host of Unlearn the Crap TV, Kathy Baldwin.
Welcome to another episode of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up, because your soul is calling you. My name is Kathy Baldwin, your host, and I am I'm beyond excited. I know I say that a lot, but no, I really mean it, about Isabelle Zimmerman. She is our guest today. Now, before we get into...
Sorry, this one. Sorry, you're going to have to start over. I'm so sorry. I asked her to come up on the bed before, but did she? No. She had to wait until you were re-recording.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so I know I say that I'm excited about all of my guests because I really curate and find who I feel are the best of the best. This is personal. This is beyond personal because this is the way the universe works. I met Isabelle. I was almost going to stop doing my intro on how I connected with her, but I'm not going to. I feel compelled to say it. So Isabelle and I met through a mutual connection. And when we met, I immediately went, I need to know you. And I think she might have felt the same. So we connect, we have a conversation, and we are like magnets. Oh my God, I have to work with you. You are amazing. And she says, yes, I feel the same way. So I had an amazing time with Isabelle, which I will get into later on. And the universe has everything fall into place so beautifully. So, leave you a little bit hanging. But as you all know, Unlearn the Crap is physical. It is our body. It is our lymphatic system. It is what our body is trying to release because it does us no good. But it is also the energetic, it is the neurological, it is the beliefs, it's the ancestral traumas. It is so many things that come into our lives and get in the way of our zone of genius. And Isabelle, I need to know, what crap did you need to unlearn so that you could level up?
The crap that I needed to unlearn was I needed to learn to say no. And so for me, that was, I didn't even know what people pleasing was. I didn't even know that terminology until later. I remember working in corporate America, and my vice president was telling me that I couldn't say no. And I remember thinking, like, you want me to say no to others, but not to you. And so I felt that a lot in my life. Like, everyone else wants me to say no because they want me. So it was a series of things. And then for me to say no, it was very physical for me. I felt it very much in my heart. And saying no was so hard for me. I felt like I was dying. And it takes another people pleaser to relate to that, because I've come across other spiritual teachers that have different soul lessons, and saying no is not a big deal to them. Like, they're like, really? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I would cry. Like, I would be really upset to say no. I was really good at people pleasing. I was so good. Like I would notice how you would take your coffee, Kathy, or I would notice you slept with one pillow or two. I would notice the little details. I had the belief that if you were happy, then I'm happy. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you be happy. So to unlearn that, to undo that was years, years. It was not overnight. It was a little bit, a little bit. It was understanding. It wasn't until I connected with my spirit guides that I uncovered I was a people pleaser. How it was taught to me by my spirit guides was I abandoned my own needs for another. And so that was really hard for me because, like, if we were on an island and there was only one chocolate bar between us, I'd give you my chocolate bar 100%. And so it was very foreign to me to put myself first. I mean it. I mean it. It was really hard. I remember when Spirit, and I share this story to a lot of my teachers, that so I'm channeling. I've been channeling since May 8th, 2017, Goddess Isis. And I'm in the grocery store in Connecticut. And I'm walking down this aisle of gourmet chocolate bars. And Spirit said, Isabelle, I want you to stop. And I said, okay. And they said, we want you to buy a chocolate bar. I said, okay, like, this is pretty cool. Like, wow, this is my spiritual task. Wow. And then they said, we want you to eat it all by yourself and not share it. Do you know, I was rooted to that spot, feeling people walking past me. It wasn't about the $4. It wasn't about eating a chocolate bar. It was the fact that I could not share it. And I couldn't do it. I actually had to buy two, one for my daughter and one for me. I couldn't do it.
Wow.
That's where I was.
Yes, I can relate to you in so many ways and so many things you said. And I know those who are listening feel the same way. It was part of the crap that we were taught. You alluded to my next question, but I want you to really answer it before we go deeper.
Okay.
Isabelle, now that you've unlearned that crap, who are you and how do you serve the world?
So, hi, everyone. My name is Isabelle Zimmerman, and I am a full-time Ascension teacher. I work with spiritual teachers and healers and those learning in this incarnation. And I help the teachers and the healers to really answer their call and their mission. I help in the healing with spirit and their higher selves through a modality of hypnosis. Hypnosis is because Goddess Isis, who is one of my higher selves, and Athena, I am the embodiment of Athena. So I have that warrior energy. Through the tool of hypnosis, we go into their other incarnations, which some people might know the phrase past life regressions or QHHT with Dolores Cannon. But for me, it's really the soul field, because we're going into those other aspects of self and we're uncovering something that needs to be healed and transmuted. So I've done over 1,000 sessions for 7 years. I've been really mentored by my spirit guides and other clients or students, higher selves. So everything that I have learned some things from programs here or humans, but most of the work that I do has really come from spirit. So they've really mentored me. And of course, I channel, so I'm always connected to my non-physical team. And I'm always in the soul field with the teacher or healer. And we're really uncovering. And I do a lot more than hypnosis. I hold space. Sometimes I have to give energy. There's a lot going on in that session. So what I like to say is I'm like a chef and I do use a knife, but I am not the knife.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Now, I need to back up a little bit because I am sure that what you have said has gone over some of the people's heads. Part of the crap that we were taught comes from Newton's laws of physics, and that everything needed to be divided down to its smallest particle, and anything that was not down to be divisible was discounted. So that meant anything energetic because it didn't fall in the rules of Newton's physics. And we created silos, and we created systems that were based on the physicality of the smallest, the dividing it up and separating each individual part from something else. But we know with the universal laws that everything is energy, and energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred or transmuted. We know this in our nuclear facilities and how we use it within our quantum computing. We know that within our medical environments and the tools that we use. But what you are talking about goes down to the personal, down to who we are and how we hear. How did you first leave that physicality and understand that the voices of Ascension, your guides, were actually your true guides, and that you weren't going crazy or discounting the knowledge? How did you hear that?
So I would say to you, it was a series of steps, but I'm just going to level set. So I have been working in corporate America since the age of 14. I worked for an organization called Equifax. Some people know of Equifax because they're a credit score company. So at age 14, I got a corporate job verifying data. So I have been in corporate America. I had a career in IT and operations. I was married. I have a daughter. I had a Victorian house in Connecticut. I was good at my job. I had the career, and I walked away from it all. I left everything for the calling. The calling was so strong, and I was scared shitless. And I would say I self-studied quantum physics for 6 years. And quantum physics, I'm really grateful to self-study quantum physics for 6 years. Like, I understand the formulas. Like, I understand there is no particle. The CERN collider has been around since the 1970s. We are fully aware that it is a field of energy.
Yes.
So quantum physics, at the same time I was studying quantum physics, I was writing a young adult novel called Unseen Light. And now looking at that novel, I can see it was my awakening journey. And one of the things that I remember, the Harry Potter series ended, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to read? And this was 2009. And so I decided to write my own book, and the title came Unseen Light. And I studied angels, I studied fairies, and I'm a really good researcher, like really good. I go to libraries and see what's on their digital. I'll go to the Russian library. I'll go to the French library, and I'll use Google Translate. I will get my hands on material that most people will not find. So in my research of angelic beings, I remember having this epiphany because, again, I'm studying quantum physics. I'm really interested in outer space, and I'm going to NASA on their Instagram, and I'm very into outer space and quantum physics, and here comes fairies and angels, and you're like, what? But then I'm really into magic, and of course I'm into magic because goddess Isis is into magic. So I'm studying all of this, and I remember having this epiphany. I remember finding angelic stories, not just in the Bible, and that they were everywhere. They were in India, they were in China, they were in Native American folklore. And I remember thinking, what if they're not a myth? What if they're a being of light? What if their molecular structure is different from a human and that they're extraterrestrial? They're non-human. And what if they're made of light? And that's why we see so many different images of them. And that was my aha moment. I knew at that point, because angels were not mythology, I was able to then take leaps of aware that the world is not just physical matter. I had learned that from quantum. So then when I went into the stories of the fairies, again, I was finding in the Middle East, the fairy's name is called Peris. And I'm like, Peris? God, that is just so similar to fairies. And I studied folklore in all different countries. And there was a common theme. And I went, again, what if they're not mythology? So one thing led to another. And I was a podcast junkie. I had a 45-minute commute each way to work for my corporation I used to work for. And I would listen to like NPR, Freakonomics. I would listen to like all sorts of shows because like I'm an avid learner. And I wasn't able to walk, and I had plantar fasciitis in my foot. And my husband's like, you got to go and get this taken care of. And I'm like, I've been to a chiropractor. Anyways, I went reluctantly, and he was very open-minded. And he said, so we're always talking. And after you get like the conversation of work, he's like, what else? Right. And I'm like, oh, I'm writing a novel and I'm part of Romance Writers of America. I joined a writing circle and all this stuff. And he's like, what's your book about? And I said, well, it's like science fiction with angels and fairies. And he's like, have you listened to Roberta Grime? And I'm like, who's Roberta Grime? And he's like, oh, she's this lawyer who studies the afterlife. And I went, oh, okay. So I found her podcast and I went through 180 shows fast. And what struck me was she had scholars from Cambridge, MIT, the elite educators of the world on her show. And I remember getting pissed. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. God damn it. They said babies came from storks. I am studying fucking migration patterns. I am getting bird seed. I am learning how to build a nest. And it's DNA. Those mothers. Oh my God. I was pissed. No, Kathy, pissed. Because they were talking about the afterworld and like creating devices and spirit and like all these things. And I was just like, she was this lawyer that like her, like me, she'll read a book and she'll go to the index and she'll look what they cite. And then she'll go to those books and read them. And that's what I do. So like when a doctor gives me a prescription, I say, oh, thank you very much. I take the prescription. I go to the website. I look at their white paper. I look at what they cite. I go 3 deep. I see if they copy the information well. I see their approval. I see how many people need to take it before their medicine works. And then I make my decision.
So what you're telling me is that you are left brain, analytical, logic-based, research, proof, and you are an ascension teacher working with the spirits.
Yes. And then I also have, my mom's an artist, and I had a full scholarship. I did not go because my dad died, but I had a full scholarship to Savannah Art Institute. So I have this artistic ability. I have this creativity.
Full brain.
Yes.
I wonder if that's what made it easier for you to connect to spirit.
Yes.
Why do you just jump in and say yes? Tell me more.
Because if you don't have imagination and creativity, it's going to be very hard for you, because your logic mind is going to come in, and spirit communicates through dreams. Spirit communicates through symbology, and you really need to be very open-minded and creative. And so when I work with spiritual teachers and they're not balanced in creativity, that is one of the things that we do. We do an exercise in creativity. Oh, yes, because they're not balanced. And you're going to miss the communications, because sacred geometry is a form of communication, and those are shapes and colors. And
I love this, because, okay, so one of the ways that was so important to me with Unlearn the Crap was for it to make sense, because I am an avid learner like you. 40 years I've been learning everything from neurology, psychology, biology, quantum physics. I mean, I did the whole gamut. I wanted to know and understand. And so when it came to my own healing journey, until I was able to integrate it, I couldn't understand it. And so what I'm hearing from you is that the universal laws of the fact that we have the masculine and the feminine, that we have a rhythm, and that rhythm needs to be complete. And for those of you who can't see me, I am doing the symbol of infinity. And so you're connecting, sacred geometry, Fibonacci, the logic that extends into our physical world. But we're still talking about the energetic, soulful, creative, creation force.
That's right. That's right. The balance between feeling and logic is a polarity. Yes. So one of the things that I really drill into my spiritual teachers is that polarity always exists. And what we're, as humanity, is awakening, because Ascension, as an Ascension teacher, I'm very passionate around awakening. And what's awakening? Awakening is a shift of consciousness. It's a shift of thoughts. It's a shift of abilities. It's a shift in even your molecular structure of your body. The crystalline body is where humanity is going to go to. Now, you don't have to worry about your crystalline body, but some people call it the light body. But the crystalline body molecular structure, instead of a carbon-based body, they're just moving one little molecule to be crystalline, which would be, what would be a good analogy? Fiber optics.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's moving into a light body. So, and with my teachers, I get really deep into the science of it, and then I show it, and then we feel it. You're right, Kathy. It's and more. It's not either and or. It's not parts make up the whole. So you have the totality, and then you have the parts. It's both. It will always be both. And so we practice in shifting our way of thinking into a quantum state. And a quantum state is both at once. And so that's a little jarring in the beginning because you're like, how can I think two things at once? Because we're so linear here. So I have to unbreak that. I have to unbreak that. And I have exercises to break.
That's the path that we were taught. Yeah.
Yes, it's not
we
linear.
Were taught that, yeah, we were taught that linear of time. We were taught the progression. We were taught that the sum and the total and the pieces. And
Right.
I do believe that that is why so many of us are sick, is because we aren't being taken as the whole, as the integrated, interrelated systems that we are, living within an integrated, interrelated environment. Do I have that correctly?
You do. So what has occurred is there's a lot of structure and beliefs of cause and effect.
Yes.
Everyone can look this up, guys, but it is the same particle that's not even a particle that makes up everything.
Yeah.
And that's mind-blowing because everything has its own vibration and structure and color and shape and form. But to think that it's made from the same substance and everything, from Kathy to me to your computer to the chair you're sitting, it's the same particle, guys. It is your value. It's your belief.
And we can't be divided because it is all the same.
It is. And so we're moving from cause to effect to synchronicity. So
Ooh.
That's right. We're moving from cause to effect to synchronicity. We are opening up our hearts. You know, a lot of times what I teach is how do we open up our hearts? When I put Kathy under, I had her connect to her heart energy before we even went into the session. And so I'm always practicing with anyone who comes to me, opening up your heart, feeling it. What does it feel like? Bring the emotion, love. Now, what does it feel like? And we just practice and practice. You know, meditation is critical. It is important. And so is gratitude. I know gratitude journals are really becoming popular, which is wonderful. But when I discovered in 2024 how critical it was, I was blown away. So I have to give a Harry Potter reference because it's just my shortcut. So if you've never watched Harry Potter, I'm so sorry, but I would. Because there's a lot of clues in there. But anyways, they had a thing called a portkey. And a portkey could be anything. It could be a book. And what they would do is they would grab onto the book and they would be transported to another location, to another dimension, to another place. Okay. So gratitude and appreciation is a portkey to allow you to explore a greater potential in your consciousness, in your field. Let me break that down because I know that was kind of like high level. But when you go into gratitude, you are aligning to your higher self because you are the creator of your reality, whether you're aware of it or not. Your higher self is the creator of your reality because you are one with your higher self. Okay. And so when you are in gratitude and appreciation, you are accepting what is in your physical reality. So you're not pushing anything away. So when you're not pushing anything away, you can allow more things to come to you. And that means you have more opportunities, more potential to explore. So let me give you a visual. Imagine you are in a bedroom and you have much resistance and you have much fear and you have many beliefs that limit you. And so your light is only illuminating a corner of your bedroom. And in that corner is a teddy bear and your clothes and some books and some toys. And it's a very friendly corner. This is not a horror movie. Get out of there, guys. It's a very pretty corner of your bedroom. Okay. And there's some flowers even in there. But what you don't see to the right of the corner of your bedroom, you don't see there's a truck there, a toy truck. You don't see there's a toy chest there. You're not even aware what's inside the toy chest. You haven't explored your room because your light and awareness is so limited. So when you go into gratitude for what you can see, for what you are aware, like, I'm so glad I have this teddy bear. I've had this teddy bear since I was 9 years old, and it's my friend. And even though I'm older, it's still with me. And I love these flowers. Like, I can smell the flowers in my room. Like, how nice that I have fresh cut flowers in my room. And I love my clothes. They're so comfortable, and I get to run and play in my clothes. And I have books. Oh my gosh, I have books. And yes, I might have read them 1,000 times, but I know those people in those books. Do you see that love? Do you feel that love and gratitude? You're not judging it as bad and wrong. You're appreciating it. And let's say you have a broken jewelry box. And you're sad that your jewelry box is broken. So you would still go into gratitude and say, you know what, even though you're not perfect, and I'm very sad that I dropped you and I broke you and you no longer play music, thank you for being here because you still hold my jewelry. Thank you.
So, Isabelle, while you were talking, this vision popped into my head. And the vision was of a dimmer switch. So what I was seeing as you were talking was the more gratitude we have, the lighter the room gets, the more we can see, the more we have access to. And that when we go into fear and anger and lack, we're turning the dimmer switch down. Did I get the visual correct?
100%. 100%. Now, there's a lot of you out there who's like, okay, well, I want to lighten up. I want to lighten up. And so you think by just being positive, it will lighten up your switch. There is some truth to that. That is not the totality of it.
Yeah,
that's right. There is way more. You cannot, again, you have to acknowledge your fears. You have to acknowledge your beliefs. You have to go within. You have to possibly work with someone who does past life regressions to get into those hidden beliefs that are still vibrating in your current incarnation. Now, I have a very good data set, 1,000 sessions going into multiple lives, talking to many higher selves and many spirit guides. I understand now that your other aspects of self creates your reality. You cannot, some people call it past life bleed throughs, but there is a lot going on. But I will tell you, many of times someone will come to me, and if they had not done their inner work to clear their current incarnation, they will not see a past incarnation. They're not allowed. They will not be able to go. They have to deal with this current incarnation.
Okay. So one of the things that I always say is everything matters. So what you're saying is, even in this moment, we may think the answer is outside or behind us, because yes, it is connected to our DNA. It is connected to the physicality. We are connected with our emotions. There's all of these things. But we got to start with the crap we're dealing with right now before we can dig deeper and release that other crap.
That's right. And I know a lot of, students that come to me want to climb up the spiritual rung. And you have to do the work. And spirit guides will say, you have to do the work. And they're like, well, what is the work? And I'm going to say it, and they'll say it to you a million times. You're going to have to learn how to meditate. You're going to have to learn how to slow down. You're going to have to journal. You're going to have to get in touch with your emotions. You might go to a therapist initially. It matters not. But that most people who come to me have already gone through therapy, who've already kind of done some self-development. But yes, you have to look at what you are numbing out, denying, keeping yourself really busy, whatever it is, however you do it, you have to take a look.
Yeah, for me, I know that my body, my soul, my world, the universe was trying so hard to talk to me. And I was so busy with the shoulds and the expectations and the put on my big girl panties and just soldier on. And it didn't matter all of the signs. It didn't matter what was happening to my physical health, my relationships. It didn't matter any of that. I just kept going like the ever ready bunny. And eventually I was taken down and I was taken out. And it was only in that absence of everything that I had that allowed me to be distracted and left me with nothing but myself. Was I able to see myself?
That's what they do. It's interesting. I've talked to spirit guides around this a lot. It's just really common here that we have to get really uncomfortable as fuck before we stop.
Yeah.
And so the messages do get louder.
Oh, yeah. They don't go away. We can ignore, we can suppress, we can avoid, we can do all that for only so long. And eventually it must come out. So let me ask you about I want to know about the emotional or the spiritual part of triggers. Because one of the things that I say when I'm working with my clients, and I talk about it all the time on this podcast, is our triggers are our soul saying, this is ready to be released. So when we feel that someone's triggered us, we've lost control of our emotions, whatever, it's information. What do you say about that?
So yes, so when you're triggered, when you're upset, one of the first things I always teach is pause. I said, I don't want you to fix. I don't want you to analyze. I just want you to notice. I want you to observe when you get upset. And let's just start there, because you're going to see a pattern, and you're not going to see the pattern until you stop and just notice when you are upset. Is it every time you drive a car and somebody cuts you off? Is it when your mother calls? Is it someone at work? Whatever it is, I want you to notice. Then I'm going to ask you, what's the feeling? Why does that person bother you? What is it? Where did you feel that before in your life? Try to go as young as you can go. Oh, I feel like I'm blocked. I'm feeling like they're not listening. I feel like she's stopping me or controlling me. Write it down. Write it down. Because there is a belief. One of the weirdest things when I started channeling Isis, she would say to me all the time, Isabelle, you are way more than the image in the mirror. And I'm like, okay. And so she was preparing me for the work that I was going to do was going into other lives. She's like, you think you're just this leaf. You don't know the other leaves of that branch. You don't know the other branches. You don't even know the root system. You are way more. So I'm like, okay. And then the other thing that she would just drill into my ear, your fears are wanted.
Yes.
Your fears are wanted. And I'm like,
yes.
what? Shut the front door. I want these fears. So this is what she said. She goes, Isabelle, I'm going to do it to you, Kathy. Kathy, can you imagine a raw diamond? Describe that raw diamond for me. What does it look like to you? A raw diamond. It's not
a gray rock, lots of dirt, dull, rough.
Great. Now I want you to cut it in half. Tell me when you pull it apart, there's two halves and you can see the center of that stone. What does that look like to you?
Like a shiny ice surface where you can see depth in there, but it's still flat and no depth, but you can see the depth. You just can't touch it.
Perfect. Now your higher self governs your incarnations, but your higher self is the diamond cutter. You are the diamond. So every fear, your higher self is cutting away at that stone so that you become a brilliant diamond.
Ooh, that you always were, but it was just the crap that was in the way. I love that. Okay, I've got a burning question that I have to get answered before I let you go. So I need to jump into this right now. Even though we could unpack this whole thing and go into fears and everything on how we get to our higher self and how we listen to our soul and how we ascend. And I believe with every ounce of my being that we are in the most important time of our human history. I believe that all of the darkness that we are seeing in the world, all of the challenges, everything is designed to take us to the farthest extreme that we say no more. I believe that all of our systems are breaking down. And in that breaking down, we are moving from a place of being controlled by the 1% and we're coming into our own individual power. And that it is the calling of our individual soul and our individual beings that the world is calling for. And I believe that it is people like you and people like me. I know that I dimmed my own light when I said it, and I forgive me. But I am so in awe by you. And I heard you going, girl. And so I caught it before you did. Tell the listeners how important they are in this process, in this time, and in this place, that they unlearn their crap so they can level up and bring their gifts to the world.
Yes, this life, this incarnation that you are living right now is a very important incarnation. I can tell you there are not many incarnations where a planetary shift is going from one stage to another. So you might hear the terminology, we're in the 3D reality and we're going to 4D and 5D. But all you need to understand is we're going into more love and more oneness. Now, this is not just an earth thing. Your life, you have a mission, you have a greater purpose, and you need to answer that call. I'm serious. You need to answer that call, and you're feeling it. And how you're feeling it, you can feel pain in your body. You can feel dissatisfied in life. You can feel empty inside. And that is a ringing bell. Cut your shit. Cut it out. You have a higher purpose, a higher calling. This is you, like, honest to God, I talk to many galactic beings. There's so much going on. It's ridiculous. There is so many galactic beings assisting us. It is part of our awakening birth plan that we will meet galactic beings in our incarnation. And there's 9 other planets waiting for Earth to ascend. This is so big, guys. You have no idea. But what has happened is you are so weighed down in your day-to-day existence, in your life. You need to stop, open up your heart, stay curious, find your teacher, find your mentor. You are not meant to do this alone. You are not. You think Jesus did this alone? No.
Or Buddha?
No one is meant to do this alone. There is always a student and teacher. You don't think I have a teacher? Of course I have a teacher. It is always the polarity.
Yeah.
So you will be the teacher. You will be the student and teacher at once. Yeah. Find your person. Find your group. Chip away at undoing the programming. Go within. Start to learn to meditate. Go out in nature. Journal. There's a lot of information, but this life is important. And trust me, you don't want to cross over and say, oh, I sat on the sidelines. Because I was too scared. You think you're going to get another life of an ascension of a planet? No. You won the lottery ticket. Do you know how many beings wanted to be here on this earth on this time? A shit ton. Trust me. There are 14.4 million galaxies out there, kids. 14.4 million. There is 1.7 billion stars in our Milky Way, and we're a tiny galaxy. This life is very special, and you know it. You know it and you feel it. So I want you to take a step. I do. Cut it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be a little open and vulnerable.
Okay.
So Isabelle worked with me, and she took me into one of my past lives. I did not know that I had past lives. I mean, I had dabbled with it and heard about it, but obviously every time I did, I ended up with nothing. And now I know why, because I hadn't done my work. And I'll even admit, when you put me into the hypnosis, into the state, there were quite a few times you'd say, what do you see? And I'd say nothing. And it was nothing but blackness. And it wasn't until you helped guide me past that I was able to see. And then it all became very, very clear. And I had a major life lesson that I had been carrying. Now, I talk all the time about the fact that our DNA carries ancestral, and that all of those beliefs, they are created through chemicals, and they create our physical reality. But because we are all and not just one, I also carried this energetic, what some people call it karma, but it was a trauma. It was an energetic trauma that I was carrying. And the healing of it was almost instantaneous. That as soon as you shine the light on it, the clarity, the fact that it was seen, it released all of the chains, which is how my whole healing has happened. And I want to publicly thank you, because the weight that I didn't know I was carrying, the freedom that happened almost immediately. And the synchronicities that have happened. I mean, I never heard anyone say that we're moving from physical to synchronicity. And I absolutely love that, because things have just been boom, 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 falling into place. I mean, I even texted you last night going, oh my God, you cannot believe what just happened. And me thanking you, because I knew it was your helping me to heal. That released something that needed to go.
It did. And, you know, the work I do, and you're welcome. So I met Kathy, and I knew Kathy was going to come into abundance. And I heard spirit, and I said, oh, I gotta connect her money wound. I have to heal her money wound, because she's going to come into abundance. And one of the things that I want to make sure with all my teachers is that we're creating in love. So I told her, I said, look, I heard this from spirit. I want to do this. We're going to go in. I don't know what I will get when I go in, but when I go in, right? So anyways, Kathy and we went in, and she did very well. She did very good job. Good job. She did very well. But anyways, we went into, sometimes I'm lucky I can see what they see, what my client or my student sees. And I saw her as the king in the castle, and she was alone in the king in the castle, and she was crying. And what's weird is she's going through her life, right? And I got the understanding that the church had taken away everything from her. The king was not upset about losing his wealth. The king was upset about losing his family and friends, which could be servants or the people that work for him or whatever. But he felt the family. He felt his people were his family and friends. Okay. So, and I heard the church. Anyways, I don't say anything, because like, I'm listening to spirit, I'm listening to Kathy, and she's going through the life. And then I realized what needed to be healed. And then I called in different aspects so that the king, because that consciousness still exists, like he is still very alive. And so I worked with him, that king consciousness, to come in and heal. And then I brought in her higher self. And so we had to do forgiveness, and we had to bring the higher self and the understanding. And then we connected it with the consciousness of money and love, and then I wake her up, right? So I said to her, I said, he lost everything from the church. And I studied history, and I know the church can make a king or a queen. Like if the church doesn't back up the king or queen, you're not going to be king and queen, no matter what bloodline you're from. The church has to recognize it. And she's like, oh my gosh, Isabelle, I wrote a book. And I went, there it is. So the king was sharing that life with her, and she wrote a book about the church. And that's why.
Yeah. And I've never been a church person, and I've been very secretive about my feelings about that. And I never knew why, even as a child. You know, I had very strong beliefs. I've said, I can't talk to you about it. I can't talk to you about it. And I could never understand why. And so the amount of clarity that came from that was absolutely amazing. We're almost out of time. Can I ask you a favor?
Yes.
Because I know you can do this so quickly. Can you channel the message that our audience needs to hear right now?
Of course. Of course. They're here. They're here. So let me just connect. Hello, hello, hello. We are delighted to speak through our sweet, sweet Isabelle. We are excited for all of you to listen, to become aware more of who you are. What we want to really impart with you in this now moment is you are safe. You are safe, dear ones. I know we know that you may not feel safe, but you are safe. It is all okay. There are many things being divinely orchestrated for your delight and awareness and growth. And sometimes spiritual growth is messy. And it's okay that it gets messy a little bit in your life. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, dear ones. But we want you to know that you are so loved. You are so loved and supported. Be brave and courageous. You are safe. It is all okay. And that is the message we wish for you to take into your heart, to know that you are safe. There is nothing to fear. There you go.
Thank you. I can't think of a better way to wrap this up. Isabelle, I could have talked to you for hours. There's so many ways and things we could have discussed. But I know that you're in my life for a very, very long time. And I know that people are listening who want you in their life as much as I do. How do they reach you?
So the best way is just to go to attractingwisdom.com. There's a place where you could do a discovery call, just connect or send an email. If there's a contact form, you can send, a question or an email. I do my best to get back to you. And where I really hang out for all social media platforms, I hang out on LinkedIn. So you'll see me post there. You'll see me comment. You'll see me put some videos up there. So if you just want to get to know me gently and softly, just go to LinkedIn, find me, Isabelle Zimmerman, and you'll find me.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your heart and your energy. And thank you so much for supporting those who are supporting all the others so that we can all unlearn our crap and level up. Isabelle, it has been a joy and a pleasure. I cannot thank you enough.
You are so welcome. It is my honor.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.